Today we're going to be talking about...
Why the women should do all the cooking and cleaning.
No. Today we're going to give a healthy reflection on gender roles.
Gender roles in marriage.
Why do we have to be on like one side of the pendulum or the other?
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's somewhere in between that's a bit more moderate. It's funny how like some of this stuff is like controversial now.
Yeah, but it's like a fact.
It's like a fact.
It's like,
Anyways.
it makes you feel like weird saying
The
it.
thing I want to name is that gender roles is a bit of an archaic term, but it's important to like use that terminology because it's familiar terminology.
Yeah. We all know what we're talking about.
You know what no one talks about?
What?
Or not enough people talk about, I should say, is how society goes to like one extreme to another in terms of gender roles. Like we go from like the woman does everything at home and the guy makes the money outside of the house.
And does not touch a thing in the home.
And doesn't touch a thing in the home, to like the Industrial Revolution where if you don't have a woman on your executive team, you're morally wrong as an organization. And if your husband doesn't help out around the house and cook 4 meals a week and do laundry in addition to his job, then you guys are way off. And I feel like there's a call to moderation. And it's funny, now we're in this place where it's like women are returning to like the traditional.
Like trad wife.
Yeah, trad wife.
Like there was this big emphasis like,
Sourdough making.
10 years ago on like being a career woman or being like a boss babe or whatever. And now, I don't know why the shift has come, but now I've like seen so many videos where women are like, wait, who wanted us to work all the time? Like, I want to be home. And so it's interesting, this shift.
And then I guess what I think is like, why do we have to be on like one side of the pendulum or the other?
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's somewhere in between that's a bit more moderate. And I think that what we found is it's not actually best to like categorize roles based on gender per se. But rather based on like preference, gifting, skill set, etc.
And time of life.
And time and period of life, yeah. So let's break this down a bit. Let's break it down.
Okay, let's break
For
it
example.
down. For example, when we first got married, maybe we'll talk about the evolution of our gender roles.
Yeah, gender
Household
roles or household roles. You can use both interchangeable, but because gender roles is common language, we're going to stay with that for now.
So actually, let's rewind it back to before we got married, almost 6 years ago, is when we first talked about this. So we recommend to at least have a discussion about this before you get married.
Expectations.
Or before you start living together. Because then, you set out your expectations. You're not like getting upset if someone doesn't do something you're expecting them to do. You know the drill.
And one quick thing, we found it helpful to like talk through what we saw in the household. So oftentimes when we were having that conversation, saw in the household growing up, because oftentimes we pattern or try to like do the exact opposite of what we saw in the house, depending on how successful it was or wasn't.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our conversations when it came to gender roles was also centered around what we saw.
Yeah. So we talked about it, but honestly, the reality is you can talk about it all you want. It might be different once you're actually living life together, right? So then we got married, moved in together, and I would say cooking was like pretty 50-50 amongst me and you. And then cleaning was probably like you a bit more than me. Like, I don't know, 60-40 or something. This is because I had a little bit of growing up to do in the area of cleaning.
And she also moved into the house that I was, like, that I lived in.
He had already lived there.
Yeah.
So he was more used to the rhythm.
Like what needed to be done.
Yeah. And I just had to get a little bit more used to that in life.
I think you make yourself sound worse than you were.
It wasn't that bad. It's more just like I moved out from my parents' house. And I also feel like I'm okay with letting things go a bit longer cleanliness-wise than you are. Or, for example, growing up, I never made my bed, like, ever, but you always did. And so then when we got married, you were like, wait, why do you never make the bed? It's like looks like a mess. And then I was like, oh yeah, it kind of does.
And then that's
So
where
I
we
started making the bed.
That's where we initiated the rule, by the way.
Yeah,
We have like, it's not like a rule seems too strong, but we have just like
follow
a
it pretty
thing
closely.
where it's like, yeah, whoever gets up last makes the bed.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So take that
Yeah.
and do that rule.
People are
yourself.
probably like, that's so normal.
Yeah,
Everyone
like,
does that.
Everyone does that rule.
We're like making it sound so special.
Okay,
Wait, let's drop a bomb. Whoever gets out of bed last makes the bed. That's our rule.
That'll change your life. Okay, so anyways, we did that for 3 years or so. Then we moved. When we moved, Daniel's job changed a bit. My job changed completely, and I started working from home, like full time. And then all of a sudden, it made way more sense for me to do like 90% of the cooking because I was home. I could start dinner, have it ready by the time you're like, we used to meal prep so much, and now we just don't anymore because I was like always home to kind of make food fresh almost every day. So then it changed to me doing a lot more of the home stuff. Still cleaning was, I would say, like 50-50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then did that for a couple of years.
And then I think that a big thing that affected it too was me finishing up my master's.
Yes.
And because I was in my master's, it just required so much time from me
Yeah,
after work
it was
hours.
wild.
So it was like evenings and nights. I would have to go and write or read or whatever. And because of that, you really supported me a lot by almost like alleviating a lot of household stuff from my kind of list of responsibilities. And I think that was all the way up until like last May.
Yeah.
And then you were pregnant. So
Yeah,
then
and then I was pregnant.
Then things shifted again.
And at first, I was doing a lot, but then I started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, I can't clean the floors on my hands and knees anymore, or it's hard for me to get the groceries or just whatever it was.
Yeah.
So then it was a bit more shared. And then we had the baby. And that first month, 100% Daniel, everything. Like he did everything because I was kind of bedridden.
Yeah.
Like not bedridden, but like I could not do much except for take care of our son. And now 3 months later, what would you say? It's kind of hard. It's like I have this desire to do everything at home because I'm on mat leave and I'm at home.
Yeah.
But sometimes our son just won't allow me to do that.
And
that's okay.
I think my biggest takeaway from this conversation that we like, it feels like it's an ongoing conversation and sometimes we get questions about it. Like my biggest takeaway is don't limit the conversation to a gender thing.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is a pink job or a blue job or a female job and a male job. Because that's not helpful. I'd say like sometimes certain roles make more sense because of gender. So for example, we decided to only, at least for now, breastfeed our son. So that's a responsibility that only Mariah does and only Mariah can do.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And because of that, I don't have to think about feeding him.
Yeah.
With that said, when it comes to organizing our storage or moving bins around or taking the garbage down, like that's traditionally like male duties. And I do it because I'm stronger, can lift the bins.
Taller. It just makes more sense.
And it just makes more sense. And we're not like sheepish about that. Like I don't think that I don't try to pretend that I can breastfeed. And she doesn't try to pretend that she's stronger than me. Like, I think that we embrace that. It's funny how like some of this stuff is like controversial now.
Yeah, but it's like a fact.
It's like a fact.
It's like,
Anyways.
but you feel like weird saying it.
And then, but we're not limited to gender roles. So for example, I will clean our washroom a lot of the time. I'm okay with cooking a meal. I'm okay with starting the laundry or folding laundry. And I think that like, the best thing that people can do is step back and be like, hey, what am I gifted at? What am I skilled at? What do I like better doing better than the other person? For example, I really like and don't mind filling the dishwasher, but Mariah likes better emptying the dishwasher. It's such a small, like funny kind of like anecdote, but it's a bit quirky. It's a bit, some might say quirky. But that's an example of a way that Mariah and I function. And then one other thing that I want people to know is like, there might be like, I enjoy doing something less than Mariah, and that's why we decide to break it up. So it's kind of like you really wouldn't enjoy taking the recycling down.
Yeah.
But I
It's
I
not
don't
like
mind
you,
it.
It's not like you enjoy it, but
Yeah.
like you enjoy it probably more
Yeah.
than me. So
Yeah, you enjoy it less than me, so I do it.
yeah, that makes sense. I think like something I want to say too is that when you guys like when you're deciding on like whose responsibility is what, it needs to also be flexible to like tap each other in if needed. Like
Yeah.
you can't be like, you know what, I don't like doing this, so you can't ask me.
So I'm never gonna do it.
I'm never gonna do it. Like, okay, other night, perfect example. I felt like our son was like a little bit more clingy that day, so I had a hard time like getting certain things done in the house that I wanted to get done. And it was the end of the night. It was late. I was tired, and there was so much laundry to fold. And I was like, I don't want to do this tomorrow. It's just gonna keep piling up. And then Daniel was like, I can do it. Just let me do it. And like, that's not like a huge deal or anything. He does laundry too. But I would say like, since I've been home with him, I do more of the laundry. And so in that time, like he tapped in and he folded all the laundry. It was a huge help to me. Probably didn't even take that long, like 10 minutes or something. But it was like huge for me. And so don't, like, he's not going to sit there and be like, well, laundry's your thing now because you're at home on mat leave. And sorry, I'm not helping you with that.
I think just seeing it as like a team effort.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we'll trade each other off. Like, I think sometimes when people think like, almost think too compartmentalized, like that's your thing, this is my thing.
Yeah.
That's where things get messy because then you're like at odds with each other as opposed to almost like accomplishing the things together.
And it's kind of like fun, like I haven't done this yet, but it's on my mind. I think like it's fun to like be like, oh, this is usually Daniel's thing, but I'm gonna do it for him today.
Yeah.
As like a nice thing. Like I was gonna take out the garbage. One of these days I'll do that. It's always in the back of my mind.
That's a sweet
to be
idea.
like, if I have time, I'm gonna also take out the garbage so that Daniel doesn't have to, and it's like a nice thing for him. But I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Then it's like opportunities to
That's
serve
gonna
each
be
other.
that's gonna be an amazing day. Thanks for
For context, it's like kind of hard for me to do it because I have to like have our son in the carrier, and it's all the way downstairs, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think the best thing for people to do is, or one of the best things is like revisit what you're doing. Like, and if you feel like, oh, I actually don't love doing this thing anymore, just name it.
Yeah.
And see if there's like a way to rearrange the duties so that, okay, maybe we do it 50-50 instead of like 100-0. And I think that the other thing that people need to think through is like not allowing almost like pride to get in the way of what actually works best for your family. So for example, growing up, my mom paid all the bills and managed our finances. My dad gave her that role because my mom was an accountant. He could have, with another lens on, been like, it's the man's duty to take care of the finances. I don't know what your background is, whether it's like a traditionally male role or a female role to care for the finances, to pay bills. But in my parents' family, my dad didn't pay the bills. He provided so that the bills could be paid, but he didn't actually physically go in and pay the bills. But he almost like put his pride to the side so that my mom could take care of that.
Yeah.
And so I think that couples need to really go like, not what do I feel like I'm supposed to do based on like my family of origin or based on what I feel like a man or a woman is supposed to do, but what is actually best for us, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we could.
conversation.
I feel like we could talk about gender roles and this whole idea for like a whole nother video.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much to talk about.
And
but
they're like, oh, I feel like for us, it's like always kind of shifting.
Yeah.
A tiny bit here, a tiny bit there.
Yeah.
Like, I used to never do the laundry.
Yeah.
Ever. That was your thing.
I like forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I pretty much
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that
See?
what I would say is like, I guess key takeaways is as culture goes to one extreme to another, don't follow it.
Yeah.
So just try to find a moderate way to approach gender roles. I would say 2, assign roles based on your skills, your passions, and what you're good at or like. And 3, put your pride to the side. Like, do whatever makes sense. Don't be ruled by what you saw your parents do or what you think you should do as a man or a woman, but really get to the place where it's like, oh, we feel good based on who we are, sharing roles and breaking roles down in this way.
Can I add a fourth?
Add a fourth.
My fourth thing is, if you feel resentment creeping in, it's time to have a conversation.
Yes, that's really good.
It's time to have a conversation about gender roles, because like I just feel like resentment just builds up over time and really destroys people's relationships.
That fourth point was really good. Is there a fifth?
No, that's all I got in the tank.
I should have had you do all 4 points because that last one was good.
No, thank you.
Because I think that, sometimes people can get in this place where they're like, I don't love this, but we assigned it, so I have to do it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Or like, not even that, or like, oh, I feel like I'm doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the home, if you feel like it's so easy to start like keeping score, like, oh, I do this, 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 and they do nothing or whatever. If you start to have those thoughts, time for a conversation.
I just thought of a bonus one.
Oh, you thought of the fifth one.
So this is a bit bougie, and we aren't at the place where we would do this. But if there's something that neither of you like, you could hire someone to do it.
Oh yeah. No, okay, it is bougie, but actually the cleaners are more affordable than I think we think they are in our head.
Yeah.
I
But
don't know. I
it
don't
is very
really
like
know.
first world.
Yes, 100%.
Like not everyone could afford a cleaner.
Yeah.
Or would want to choose to spend their money in that way.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, neither of us like cooking, let's hire, or let's even sign up or subscribe for like a meal delivery service.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or
like,
if neither of us like grocery shopping or whatever, or if neither of us like cooking, let's hire a cook, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or grocery shopping, you can get it like you can do it online,
Yeah.
get it delivered.
So think
Kinda
unconventional, like outside of historical conventions, but outside of like what you're used to conventions as well.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We're done.
We want to hear your thoughts, so make sure to comment below what gender roles you grew up with, maybe, or how you function in your marriage. We'd love to hear that.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And then also, if you know someone in your life who would be benefited by one of these videos, make sure to send it their way. And it would help us a lot and hopefully help them.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.